I stood in the corner of the living room, holding a glass of iced tea that had long gone lukewarm. The chatter around me sounded almost distant, like a faint hum beneath a louder, invisible tension. Everyone smiled, laughed, and sang, but I could feel the uneven rhythms of the room. The subtle pauses, the exchanged glances, the way my daughter flinched when someone mentioned her brother. I had noticed small things over the past months, a tilted smile here, a whispered word there, the way my daughter-in-law seemed to occupy spaces with a practiced invisibility while planting seeds of irritation. Nothing overt, nothing that could be called scandalous, but enough to settle in my mind, layering quietly with suspicion. And then, during the cake ceremony, it happened. As the group circled around, singing the familiar birthday song, I saw her, my daughter-in-law, lean over slightly and sprinkle something into the frosting. Subtle enough that the guests wouldn't notice if they weren't looking closely. She thought no one had seen the smallest hint of a triumphant smile crossing her lips. I did not move. I did not speak. I held my gaze and let the moment stretch. The song ended, and everyone clapped, expecting the usual ritual, the birthday girl cutting the first slice, everyone cheering, candles extinguished, happy photographs taken. I walked toward her, deliberately slow, letting the soft shuffle of my feet carry the tension with them. The room seemed to fall into a kind of suspended silence, not because of what I was about to say, but because I was taking control in a way no one had anticipated. "Actually," I said quietly, with a calm I had worked to cultivate over weeks of practice, "you should take the first bite." The words landed like a stone on still water. Eyes widened, mouths opened slightly, then closed. There was no dramatic shout, no angry confrontation, just the sudden, unmistakable shift in authority. She froze, the plate in my hand heavy with the unspoken consequences. I could see it in her expression: hesitation, calculation, the recognition that her small act had been observed and would not go unacknowledged. I waited a beat longer than necessary, letting the weight of silence do the work that shouting never could. She looked around at the faces of our family, at my daughter, at the neighbors who had been invited to this ordinary celebration, turned subtly tense. And then, slowly, she placed a finger over her lips, a quiet admission that she understood the shift that had just occurred. I set the plate down in front of her, deliberately, but did not insist further. The guests shuffled, unsure of how to resume their laughter or conversation. I stepped back, my posture relaxed but firm, my attention calm and deliberate. The balance had shifted without spectacle. For a moment, I remembered other times, other small betrayals that had gone unnoticed, the simmering frustration that had accompanied them. Yet this time, I had chosen restraint, choosing authority over vengeance, dignity over drama. That internal discipline mattered more than any fleeting satisfaction of calling her out publicly. The party resumed cautiously. Candles were relit on a smaller cake, gifts were opened, and photos were taken with careful smiles. No one spoke of the incident, but the room carried the quiet acknowledgement of what had just transpired. I walked over to my daughter, resting a hand on her shoulder, letting the subtle reassurance of presence speak louder than any words. The betrayal had been noticed, addressed without fanfare, and the social equilibrium recalibrated. Control had shifted quietly, undeniably, but without spectacle or humiliation. Later, I found myself reflecting on restraint, on the understated power of calm observation and measured action. The room had held tension and released it in a single, precise gesture. The daughter-in-law had learned the consequences without a scene, and I had preserved my dignity while allowing justice to manifest in its quiet, uncelebrated form. Not everything was resolved. Trust would take time to rebuild. Family dynamics would remain delicate. But for now, the moment had passed. And in that passing, a quiet victory had been claimed, not loud, not triumphant, but deeply felt and unmistakable in its authority.